for our live podcast, so live version of And We Have an Office Dog. Woo! And everybody.
Thank you very much for all making the effort to come out this evening. I hear that there's been some train delays, train cancellations, bus cancellations, weirdos on buses, everything going on. Weirdos on other trains from the north, further north as well. Panelists, take your seats. We shall do intros shortly. There's a seat here. You can pass through that. Hey, do you want do you want the ticket? Yeah, we're thinking about it. It's a free. It's a.
So that the equipment and this nice.
You broken the seat on. Don't put your feet on it. So.
Hello.
Where else? Vicky. You go quickly grab a stool. This one's broken.
I'd like him to understand he's quite so straight up.
Technical difficulties. Charlie Whitworth just sat on a stool and broke it. He's blaming the stool, but we all know. We all know.
One is it's a cheap as.
Sorry.
And then it is weird. We're on the church. I was the build way. The build there. Yeah.
Hey, Dave. Stay there. Stephen.
Maybe you're another in the globe. It's like, I'll be in money. Don't you really feel that's a bit first? So the schools to the time and doing it in your right and I can't even that away.
And it's what's not all. Boy, stop myself to you. Take care. Take care.
I didn't even know why the dial one day tonight. They said it's an holiday with no real love about it. But no, there's my vengeance. No, I let it feel it. You know what?
Okay. If anything goes wrong later this evening, just so you know, I thought we were getting like 2 speakers and a tiny little thing that connects to my laptop, not this whole big old bank of buttons and stuff. So if something goes wrong, Vicky. You could fit through it, you know how it's food for it. But it was best to say you've done the seat thing to me. Everybody here, how many drinks tokens did you get when you arrived? We have several more because Vicky saved money on the shit stickers that you're all wearing. We have extra sticker version of your drinks token. So a bit later on, hit Vicky up and she'll give you another drinks token. If she doesn't know who you are, it's because the sticker didn't do its job.
Hello, and thanks for coming along to And We Have an Office Dog, the digital agency podcast where we're talking to the people behind the agency, the service providers, coaches, and mentors to discuss what it's like working with you, the agency lead. With your host, Chris Simmons, the Agency Accelerator, talking to a different agency growth partner in each episode. What they love about working with you, what they wish you would use, all will be revealed. Okay, so let us begin. Over to you, Chris.
Oh, thanks, voiceover guy. I didn't realise you were over here already. This is nice to meet everyone. Hello. Hey, I've got a really good idea. Let's all stop speaking except for me. Just for a second. Bearing in mind all the people in the audience here right now, and I'm thinking about 4-legged ones. First question is to the entire audience. Dogs or cats?
I've got through it. One of them. Yeah, yes, here. I know this building.
All right, we'll take this outside. Dogs versus cats later. I think dogs are going to win. So, this is a bit of a departure from the last time we did a live podcast. The previous podcast we did, we just had agency leaders. And I thought, let's mix it up and make some money for me. We're going to sponsor some seats. We're going to get some actual people who don't run agencies, who know what they're talking about, who help agencies on a day-to-day basis They really know their stuff, and they're also not boring. There was a big pre-limiter there. Vicky made sure that was the case. We've also got one that's actually a Jedi.
You told me I had to be. This was your thing.
I told you it was fancy dress.
Yeah, fair enough.
Did I tell any of you it was fancy dress?
No.
No. Yeah. It's a Steve thing. Okay. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from Obi-Wan all the way through to Obi-5. And if you don't mind doing us a little intro, who are you? What do you do? Agency, external, etc. What's your thing? Why should we listen to you?
Fair question. My name's Steve Kuntovich. I'm a lawyer with no creative talent, which is why I get joy from working with people that have it.
Guy Littlejohn, I'm the founder of Facets. We're a fractional commercial director consultancy.
One thing I'm going to touch on in a minute is fractional, because that's really popular as a word right now, and I know that you know what that means. Some of us don't. Right, exactly. Yeah, there we go.
I'm Nell, founder of Pink Giraffe. We do recruitment because everyone else hates it. And it is hard in the digital agency space. So yeah, we don't just recruit, we kind of consult and try and help you guys out as much as we bloody can, to be fair.
I'm Claire Heavyside. I'm the co-founder and creative director of Serotonin, which is a digital agency based right here in the Northern Quarter.
Before we go on to you, sorry. What did you win recently?
Business Woman of the Year.
Say again?
Business Woman of the Year. Business Woman of the Year.
Did anyone else hear that? Actual force of nature over there. And in her spare time, actual force of nature also. Sorry, Charlie, you got to follow that one.
How do I follow that up? But yeah, I'm Charlie. I run a SEO consultancy, not an SEO agency. We're a zero jargon SEO consultancy based where I own just over in Ancoats.
And you're definitely not a hypocrite. You definitely don't post graphs on social media and things like that. It was a good graph.
I did the thing today where I posted a search console graph on LinkedIn, but it was
without any context. But he knew it was good.
There's a context there.
He knew. Yeah, all right. So, got a few questions. Any questions for the audience? Put your hand up, and we'll try and get the microphone over to you. The way I do these things, as you probably already worked out, is I haven't really planned very far ahead. It's all kind of coming off the cuff. I've got some words here. I'm not going to say most of them. But if you've got any questions as we go, throw it out there. We're all here to have fun. And free beer. Free beer? Yeah, cool. Awesome. So, digital transformation is my first general thing inside this list of questions. It's been a bit of a game changer in the last few years because everyone's talking about it. It's a huge part of all of the things that we do, or most agencies do, a specific service these days around digital transformation. It's touched every part of the industry, from recruitment to legal, digital transformation across legal. For example, you are having to look after lots of different pieces of data and IP, sales, CRMs and stuff or something. Yeah. Recruitment, touched it. Yeah, exactly. And agencies, you guys, you're working with clients who are basically asking you questions, which the acronym's only just been invented, but it probably was only just invented by us lot. So, given your expertise in the last few years and things you've witnessed in, with, and around agencies, what do you think the typical kind of response should be when someone's kind of saying, we're going to get into digital transformation? And that's from a client's perspective. I'm going to go with Steve first, right on the far end.
Why and what do they think that term actually means? Because the chances are it's been going on for years and years and years already, and they'll just think that it means ChatGPT without realizing that they're opening themselves up to a shitload of privacy and IP risk by letting a load of staff members loose on tech that nobody really understands.
Which is risky, and they should speak to you about.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So when it comes to like agencies trying to stay at the forefront, you're trying to ride the wave of ChatGPT, you're trying to ride the wave of all these AI things and everything like that. No, people always work with people. Agencies are people businesses. you sell to people, you do things with people, etc. Robots can do a lot of the stuff that people were doing quite a lot of work on a few years ago. How do you advise them around that now?
So I think the funniest thing that I'm seeing at the moment is I think there's a lot of people that say, you know, can we be using these tools to make recruitment quicker, make them more efficient? And actually I found so far that we're kind of coming across the opposite, in that we've had people actually grab a JD and chuck it into ChatGPT and write a shit hot application letter and a brilliant CV, and then they go and interview them and go, they were fucking awful. And I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And also, the funniest thing I think is when people say they're people and culture based, and yet their process is very much about making people go through some strenuous tasks before having a physical conversation. And I think that's the thing I'm coming across at the moment, whereby it's actually really putting candidates off within your process. And I think there needs to be, if people really is at the forefront and you say it is and you believe it is, we need to be doing more to make sure that we use AI and these tools in the right way and not in the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And also, the old adage goes, garbage in, garbage out. You throw something into ChatGPT, you're still going to get something terrible out of it. Guy, when it comes to like the sales process and building sales teams and things like that, where's digital transformation touched agencies like the hardest?
I'm not actually sure if enough agencies use enough digital transformation in their sales process. They don't acquire enough digital real estate, and there are so many channels out there. You touched on CRM, there's LinkedIn, there's email, there's obviously automation going through phone, there's tools that can record your software that can integrate with everything. So when we meet agencies, they're not actually doing enough from a digital transformation point of view.
And if a client comes to them going, we've got all these projects going on, where do I put my information in order to get through the sales process is probably part of a problem for you guys. Yes,
absolutely. Organization is key.
Yeah.
Organization.
And Claire and Charlie, you guys are at the coalface of actual agency stuff. And sorry, Charlie, I'm going to bucket you in the agency seat for the moment. Where are you guys looking in particular from where is the future of agencies in terms of what tech are you looking at beyond just saying ChatGPT? Where are you guys looking at in terms of tech? How are you marrying that up against the people aspect of this? Because there's a good reason there's people here and not laptops. There's a few laptops, but
so here's what I think. Back in the day, back in the olden days, when I first started working in agencies, everybody used to see agencies as being like the gatekeepers of technology, and your clients would come to you with a problem and we would be able to say to them, here's a software solution that only we know about, that we can unlock and train and build within your business, and we'll call it digital transformation, and it will be the answer to everything. And now all of that technology is out in the world and accessible to everybody, and everybody can learn about it and everybody can see it, and it's part of our everyday lives. And what agencies are providing now, or the good agencies, or what agencies should be looking to aspire to give to their clients, is an understanding of cultural transformation and how culture moves at pace. So we, of course, need to be at the forefront of different softwares and AI and how we're going to apply it, but only where there's a purpose behind it that is built on cultural change and people and behaviors and what that means for people's brands. So the way that we talk to our clients about digital and AI, and that is from a different point of view. It's about customers, it's their behaviors, it's people, it's culture, it's trends, it's building communities. That's the top of the question for us.
And Charlie, you've come from in-house. You've worked as a freelancer, consultant. You're building your own boutique consultancy. You're seeing this from all ends of the spectrum here. Where do you sit specifically, given what Claire's just said?
I mean, the digital transformation bit's hard because we're pure play and we always will be. I think from an AI perspective, obviously, I've got it in my toolkit. Quite looking forward to the cleanup job I'm already enjoying the cleanup job that AI's created. But, it's not that I'm dismissive of it. I use probably half my toolkit is AI powered. So digital transformation-wise is difficult for me because I go in and it's more about governance and getting SEO into the stack properly. But from an AI perspective, in terms of how we're utilizing that, yeah, I mean, I could list a few excellent tools right now. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, it's more about, yeah, there's going to be a cleanup job, and there's going to be about how to utilize that technology in the proper way from an SEO perspective, I think.
Yeah. And I think one of the key aspects that OMG focuses on is not just like building agencies. It's sometimes a bit of a cleanup job as well. And if I can give any advice right now, it's kind of just take a step back and look as far forwards as you can, because the stuff you do today is something you're probably going to have to clean up later. So if there's something really easy and it's as easy as a couple of clicks, probably not that easy in a year or two's time when you're undoing it all or paying someone else to undo it all. So anyway, speaking of strategy, niches, etc., every agency faces an awful lot of challenges. You're all in individually different privileged positions to see those different challenges. Starting agencies, running agencies, working with agencies. What are some of the recurring challenges that you guys see? And when you work with agencies, what's the advice that you give them? And as agency owners, what is it that you see in particular that you've kind of heard about, or something that you were like, I wish I'd known about that in advance? So let's start with you, Charlie.
I mean, it's the scaling thing, right? I mean, I've come in as an individual who maybe in hindsight stupidly branded my agency after myself, but off the back of a domain and a Twitter handle. But it's how you scale that without losing that personal touch. So all my clients now I'm scaling, are like, well, you better not go off the account. So some advice around how to scale that without losing the kind of the USP that you had in the first place, which there probably isn't a solution to if you're going to have X amount of clients. But I guess that's the advice, is like try to grow too quickly and how to maintain that USP with your clients, really.
Yeah, and I think there's an argument that scale is totally different to everyone else. So someone's scale might be 100 people and £1 million a month. Another person's scale might be 5 people and 250 grand a year, and it's what you want at the end of it. And
it's not even financial. I think it's just how many clients you want to serve. And if I was to step away from ever many of them, it's like, well, that's kind of not what you sold me, really. It was you. Which I'm not trying to be narcissistic, but that's already the challenge I'm having.
Is anyone picking up any narcissism?
Yeah. And so it's not even about the financials, really. It's about how many different clients can you service in that way.
Yeah. Claire, you and your co-founder, when we spoke first and we did our first podcast, you were nice and cool and calm as a cucumber. A year later, you grew incredibly massively, and you're still calm and cool as a cucumber. What challenges have you faced, and how did you learn to deal with some of that? Businesswoman of the Year.
It's been so easy. There's been no challenge. Okay, so this is what keeps, I think, agency owners up at night. New business. New business is the lifeblood of your agency. And when I say new business, I don't mean sending out a press release because you have signed a new client and, wow, look how exciting, we've got this new contract. New business is two things. It's retaining your existing business, and it's growing your existing business. And you do that by having efficient and effective process within your agency and by delivering good work. So I care about new business from my existing clients, and by caring about that, I'm caring about optimizing the work I'm doing and creating really efficient processes within my business and keeping my staff happy. Those are layers on that stream. And then I care about new business. And new business is a whole other ballgame. That's about being really, really consistent in the way that you are implementing your new business strategy, making sure that it's multifaceted, making sure that it isn't drought and famine, making sure that you're targeting the right people, that you're trying new things, that you're leveraging the uniqueness of the brand that your agency stands for. So what keeps me awake at night, my biggest challenge, new business. Everything that sits under that, everything operational, everything about people, everything about keeping my clients happy, everything about their business success, everything. But ultimately, the lifeblood of your agency and sustainability of your agency is new business.
When you eventually do sell serotonin, because someone's going to want to buy it, there's a job at OMG. Now, you work on the people front of business.
I'm the lucky one.
You don't just work on the hiring though. You don't just do recruitment. You're one of the big aspects of what you do is like the long-term vision part and building that in.
100%.
What are you seeing a lot of?
Well, for one, I think the biggest struggle alongside, like you said, there's certainly trades. I mean, new business, I think cash flow and people have been the biggest struggles. I mean, how many people in this room have tried to hire in the last 2 years and found it bloody hard? Because it is hard. And actually, I think that is lesson one. You know, if it's hard, don't think about being reactional with your recruitment. You need to start thinking about the long goal. You need to start thinking about aligning your growth with your headcount growth. You need to start thinking about how we can upskill people within the business. We need to think about succession planning. There's so much outside of just going out there and going, we need a hire, waving your hand in the air and sometimes not know whether it is that role or this role that we actually need. And as someone that partners agencies, quite often we're given briefs and it's our job to get underneath actually, is that what you really need? Because quite often it's not. And that's where you get okay, we think we need this, we think we need that. And it's not only time consuming, but the lack of direction, I think, filters down and becomes quite obvious amongst other team members. And that's where you probably run a bit of a risk in people not knowing if the board's aligned or the decision makers are aligned. And that to me is quite key because, you know, we talk to both sides of the fence. We speak to candidates who are quite clearly ready to exit certain agencies. We're understanding of what agencies are maybe causing, are not doing so well with their candidate attraction and retaining them. And so for us, it's about kind of understanding what works, what doesn't, and becoming more of a strategic partner, I think, to agencies. Like, my attitude is recruitment consultants suck. And if you're willing to pay 20% for someone that's going to leave and you're left with the 7K bill you paid, you're doing it wrong in the first place.
So what I'm getting, just because what you both have said, and you're obviously both aligned, you've just fist bumped. So retention is better than new business in many senses, right?
Same staff, completely.
Sales and clients and sales and retention of clients and retention and essentially sales of new staff, because they're not interviewing just at your place. They're interviewing at all of the other agencies out there, and they've got other options available to them as well. The internet, they can work where they want. So you have to convince them that you're the right place to work, and you have to convince the client that you're the right people to continue doing the work for them. So it's not just, it's the same kind of end goal. It's better to keep your staff happy. It's better to keep your customers happy, because then you can sell.
Yeah,
and
it's easier to retain clients than go win new ones. And I think we don't see many agencies taking their talent acquisition as seriously as they take their new business acquisition. New business acquisition is a challenge, which obviously we help to solve, but the talent acquisition piece, I think, is as important, and not many agencies do it very well at all.
And I think one of the things that I know, I spend a lot of time reading up about what you guys do, and we've talked very recently as well, actually. You guys don't just help agencies to sell their stuff, because there's no point in filling up a client roster of X amount of thousands of pounds of leads every single month and sales coming through, but if they're just going to fall straight through the floor a bit later, a bit like recruitment in the same sense. So what is it that you do when you speak into these agencies? What are some of the things that, if you're in this room right now and you're looking to build like a pipeline of sales, what's one of the first few things that you look for?
Yeah, so most agencies that we work with have hired before, normally junior. They've normally worked with a lead gen agency in the past for, I suppose, varying degrees of success. But they never really had a proper commercial plan. And then, so we help them fix that. And then the revenue operations or the sales and marketing assets, more often than not, need improving, which can take a few weeks or months, depending on where they are. Then generating pipeline, nurturing pipeline is a really important thing. The good agencies do that very, very well, but that is a whole beast within itself. And then you've got the close and then the hire. So we sort of run a 5-stage process.
Since we're on a sales focus at the minute, anyone in here who's working on sales at any aspect of any of their businesses, if your sales pipeline is like less than a month long, hold your hand up. So from lead through to close. Reese, I mean, you've got a massive lead time, so you do. So lead to close 1 month, 2 months, More. Yeah. Lots of no one putting their hands up. So you guys need to work with people who can sell. Anyway, Steve, outside of sales, one of the things that I had a conversation with someone in the pub the other day, and it didn't end very well because he wasn't that fond of how I put it. But you've got to do the boring stuff. You've got to do the boring stuff properly. And you can run the best agency you like with all the beanbags in the world, and you can have all the amazing cool things and scooters to take you to your, your private chef and things like that. But the first thing you've got to have is the boring stuff. You've got to have your HR, you've got to have your legal, you've got to have your finance, you've got to have all the boring operational bits in place. And they are boring, but they're the things that allow you to grow. What are some of the things that agencies some of the problems and challenges that you see that agencies come to you for? And I know most of the time it's, can you solve it today or tomorrow or yesterday?
Yeah. All of this other stuff is enabled by, and this is amazing, this is the alchemy that makes projects work, this is the alchemy that makes businesses grow, is enabled by the dull stuff. Lawyers are emotional midgets who are convinced the world owes them a living. Spoiler alert, but it's true. We shouldn't be leading the conversation, but we absolutely should be part of it. We should be part of it with a set of people, including your brokers. Shout out to Wristbox. Mike, hi.
Over there.
Mike will dance for you if you ask him nicely.
Speaking of boring things, and sorry to interrupt you, insurance, really, really boring. But if you don't get it right, it will hurt you a lot. These guys know what they're talking about in this industry, so speak to them.
But yeah, your broker, your lawyer, your accountant, and your growth consultant, obviously, most important people you can have in that room. When you're thinking about your pipeline, you're going to onboard them. Are you going to onboard them on a contract they can sign? Or are you just going to sign whatever's put in front of you because your hair's on fire and you're desperate for that new client? Are you desperate because it's a masthead client and you don't actually look at the contract? That is not just the lawyers that are talking to you. That's a conversation you should be having with your insurers as well and with your accountants.
Yeah.
So planning in peacetime, thinking about your relationships between your founders, their relationships with the teams, and their relationships with your clients as well, hugely important.
I'm glad you came in fancy dress because that's well boring. Does anyone else?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to actually lead on from that. This is no joke. I've had agency founders that have started up and then they've gone to take their first hire and they've gone, yeah, this is great. So kind of got underneath of it. We're like, yeah, have you got your contracts together? Yeah, we've got our contracts together. And then we find them this ultimate hire, and then we see the contract. She's like, I'm getting a company car. It's been absolutely ripped from their previous job, and I'm like, holy shit! Seriously, please, just if you're going to grow an agency, your central services are so important. Seriously, looking at legal, making sure that when you're signing agreements with clients, yes, they might be a big client. You correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't want to sign into a pit of destruction whereby you're never going to get paid because
you are not wrong.
Yeah, and it's the same with people. Don't put stupid shit in there ultimately because they won't sign it. If you want the good people, they will go elsewhere and they'll know that contract's just bullshit. Yeah. So actually, kind of leading on from that, I think sort out your HR, sort out your people, and make sure that if you from the first hire you take, if there's anyone that's at the moment a one-man band, I'm not sure, but that from that first hire onwards, just get it right early on and lead and progress from that is really key.
Yeah. In this industry, we have good days, we have bad days for obvious reasons because it's the real world, but we're all in this industry because we have some kind of a passion for it in some way or another. Very few people have come into this industry because they've just gone upskilled from some random person into another role and things like that. We're all here because we want to be. Hopefully you're all here not just for the free drinks, but there's loads of free drinks because we save money on stickers. But if that's a pointer at Vicky, very frugal. But the reason that we're all here is because we love what we do. If you want to keep doing what you love, you have to do some of the boring stuff, and that's what running a business is. And sadly, some of that involves having to speak to Star Wars people, cool people in the back there with hoodies, pretending to be digital people, but actually insurance people. You've got to deal with all this stuff, and sadly, you can't do your passion if you're dealing with fires. Fair? You guys all started what you do because of passion. Steve, you wanted to be in media, but you were terrible, and you learned that you could read better. So, we're going to get onto you last. All of you guys are passionate about things in real life as well as outside in, I say in real life, outside in your work life. What is it that like kind of blends over in running the agency versus like what you do on the evenings and your weekends, and what keeps you going? I'm going to go with, go on, Claire, you're making big eye contact, businesswoman of the year over there.
It's because I'm a runner, and runners are like vegans, like with a certain amount of time, like run. For me, it's ultra running. So I live out in the Peak District. I run out in the hills and the mountains. That's my passion. I can't not do it. It's non-negotiable. I run long distances and I run up big high hills, and that's really, really hard and really, really challenging, just like running an agency. And honestly, it is too poetic. There's too many links between ultra running and running an agency.
Sounds like a blog post.
No, it's more than it's a whole podcast. It's resilience, it's courage, it's strength, it's learning about yourself, it's believing you can do anything, it's empowering your body, it's freeing your mind, it's all of those things. And that's what I do, and that's what I love. And there's so many parallels between the two. And we do, that does filter into the agency, because I'm one of those people that's like, I'm into something, let's get everyone else into that thing as well. So we have like a run club. Everybody's now into running. We're going and doing a big half marathon together in November.
They are if they want to keep a job.
But it's part of our culture. It's part of our energy.
Is your turnover okay? I'm running away. I can't do this.
Yeah, it's that's what keeps me going.
So I don't get the running. I don't know if you can tell, but I totally understand that there's a passion, there's a drive. Like I started in this industry as a failed snowboarder who got too sick to keep doing that, and fell into digital marketing and realised actually this is pretty competitive, and I like being competitive, and you lot are all competitive, hopefully, hence why we're here. But it's nice natured. Now, what is it that you're passionate about in the real world? That kind of, when you have challenges running your business, when you work with these wonderful agencies. What is it that you take into the real from the real world?
So I kind of had two. I think my main one's DJing. I love music.
Oh, can you tell me how to turn this off later? Because the guy set it up and he left it, and he said there's a switch and I can't find it.
That's what sound engineers
right.
like, just me. Right. I love DJing, I love music, and actually what I've discovered is like I've gone to so many agency events and met others that they're all DJs and they're all into something. Like you said, I don't know whether it's just because we're kind of mainly creative people, but I think everyone has a hobby and everyone kind of strives for it. It's very rare that I come across someone that's an agency founder and owner that isn't into something. I also played years of football, and I think playing football at a good level made me realise just how important it is to have a real strong team dynamic. Like for me, I think I'm so passionate about my own team, the growth of my own business, and us all just pulling together, that I kind of want to instill that in agencies where I see that not happening. So it's kind of like, if I'm so into it, I kind of want to make sure that it's going right for others as well, because it isn't easy. And actually all it takes is one rotten apple to really upset what's going on in your business. And that's why like it is so key. Like I can't emphasize enough to just really nail down what it is you're looking for, and don't hire based on bloody letters and CVs. Hire on the person and what they can bring to the table. So don't let digital overtake the human touch, and that I think is key.
Absolutely. And Charlie, I know you're passionate about graphs massively, and I know that comes really in handy in this industry, but you're a family man. What is it that like keeps you going?
Family man, but cricket is my main passion.
Cricket. So boring. You should be on that side.
A lot of parallels. I'd say the main thing is like one person fucks up, or you fuck up once and it's all gone, and you're only as good as the people around you. But it's the consistency thing, I think. Like stop searching for the silver bullets. They're great if you find them. We're doing the right stuff, and as a team, and you're unified, and don't drop anything.
You are only as good as the person next to you in an agency. They are big businesses, and
it's the same as any sport. And what Mel was just saying there, it's that team effort and no prima donnas and doing the right stuff consistently, and not making mistakes, because make one mistake for a key client and you can ruin years of trust.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steve, you work with prima donnas all day long. How do
No.
Never. No, none of them. They're totally on the level.
Yeah.
So what's the passion in your personal life that gets you through those tough days dealing with I've just caused some contractual problem and can you fix it yesterdays?
Cheers, Andy. Star Wars.
Do you want to be on the panel, Andy? No? Just checking. Just so you know, Andy is someone who I've been trying to get on the podcast for months and months and months, and he's been dodging. But he wants to shout out loud and proud right now.
Seems quite confident.
Interesting, isn't it? You're very confident, yeah.
Wait, sorry, Southerner over here.
Sorry, Steve, your thunder was stolen.
It's not the first time, it won't be the last this evening. I get to be geek for a living. It's awesome. The vast majority of conversations I have with anybody I work with is Star Wars, DC or metal for the first 10 minutes. And every now and again, I get to be part of the absolute alchemy that is a project going right or a piece of creativity that's enabled.
Yeah. We've, within the realms of reason, we've talked about some of those projects where it's the alchemy has worked out, and it is, and sometimes like you're there right at the very beginning when someone says, I've got this idea. And then it turns into something like an app that ends up making people go to pubs that aren't other pubs, that are chains and things like that, and so on. Some of you know what that might well be. Guy, what are you passionate about?
I think the other guys have touched on it. Sport. I've seen that you've been doing your marathons and everything. I've recently niched down, as we sort of advise our clients to do, on their target audience, into an unknown sport called high rocks.
Oh, what's that? Hang on. Anyone in here knows what high rocks
So it's crazy. He's a crazy man.
Yes.
He's a crazy man. Get it out of here.
So
what is it?
That's going to be my focus. It's hard to explain. Sort of endurance meets hit would probably.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Dangerous.
That sounds really, really tiring.
Like hanging off cliffs with white.
No. I don't like heights.
There's no beer.
No beer. No.
I'm out.
No.
I'm out. So when you're running your own business, you go into agencies, you're spending an awful lot of time talking with agency leaders who've got their own vision, their own passion and things like that. How are you aligning your personal kind of passions into those things? Because you in order to sell, you need to sell yourself as well.
And every time we start working with a new agency, we feel like we get a part-time job, to mention the word fractional. That's the easiest way to sum it up. So we have to like the people that we're going to be working with, but ultimately we have a passion to help businesses grow, and that is the reason that I set the business up. And also a bit of a sales geek, like the gentleman on my right was saying about his geekery. But it's very exciting when you can turn those keys for agency owners and solve some of the big new business challenges for them. And some of them we've been working with for 2.5 years, and they are like friends now. So it's good.
It's because of the industry. It's really easy to make friends in this industry. As a good half the people in here, some of the people in here I'm friends with. Others, I don't know, never met you before. Anyway, last question, quick fire. Gonna go Steve all the way through to Charlie. First thing that comes into your mind, piece of advice for anyone running an agency right now in 2023 at the end of looking into next year.
You do not have to do this all by yourself, ever. Get the right people around you. Start thinking about difficult questions now, because if you think they're difficult now, they're going to be worse in 6 months' time.
Really good.
I've said it already, but take your talent acquisition as seriously as you're taking new business acquisition.
Yeah, I think you might have just stopped.
I should say.
Yeah.
Make sure you sell bloody well. No, do you know what? I absolutely agree. Take sales and, as we mentioned, new business, but take people seriously. And I think we need to make sure that we don't just do a tick box exercise on their skills, but really understand where you're looking to go from a cultural perspective and embed that, for the love of God, into your recruitment process.
Don't get distracted. Don't care about what other people are doing around you. Set your plan, make it achievable, set goals and work through it, and fucking focus on what's in front of you and stop looking either side and just do your thing.
You guys have stopped this podcast being able to go out on Spotify, by the way, but that's fine. I'll edit it. Go on.
Well, I just changed the terminology on my site today to proper SEO done right. Stop searching for silver bullets. Don't be looking for stupid advanced SEO. Do the proper stuff consistently and don't fuck it up. That's definitely not down Spotify now, so sorry.
So it's not. So just to sort of close this off, all of this boils down to, you kind of alluded to it, consistency. Be consistent. The only way to be consistent in one thing is to be consistent in everything all the time. And sometimes you need what's that app you're using, Josh? The 75 hard days or something or other?
It was on day 34.
Jeez, you're ages ago. And sometimes it's hard. You have to use an app. Sometimes you read a book. Sometimes you follow these things. The consistency is the way that you find it. But the only way to do it, have a plan. And the only way you need to have a plan is to know where you want to go. Where do I want to be in a year, 3, 5 years' time? When you know where you want to be in whatever that time period is, look at the difference between then and now, and you can work out where you need to be going. If you don't know where you need to be going, all these people here know what they can do. Half the people in this room have made a bunch of mistakes. I've spoken to loads of you over the years about all the mistakes you've made. You're all very friendly. Anyone who doesn't know where they need to go and what they want to do in the next few years, you need to work out a plan now, especially.